Okay, so here we are, part 4. So, um, how I did this can using what we know already. So I did the export from Maya with a high poly and a low poly, exported those out as FBXs, which is covered in part 1, imported them into Substance Painter and did the setup and baked out my mesh maps under um, bake mesh maps. Okay, this one doesn't have an ID map because it doesn't really need it. Um, so that got me to this. So making the rest of this, I had to um, use a base material, and then I've got a fill layer with graphics I imported from Photoshop that I made, um, which we'll talk about that in a second, and added some paint layer details right there to paint those little details in. And I painted some normal map information up here. Right there. And then we added some dirt. So I'm going to step through how I did all that. And we will strip that down. I'm going to make a folder. Original can. So I'm going to grab all these and I'm going to throw them in this layer just like we would in Photoshop. So now I can turn those on, turn them on and off. Okay, so I am going to start with a smart material. I'm going to give it an aluminum because it's an aluminum oil can, so we'll just use that one. That one looks pretty good. And then I need some normal map information up here on top, so let's do that just for fun. I'm going to add a paint layer, and I'm only stamping down normal map information, so I need to find something I want to make a normal map. Now I can use one of these alphas or whatever, but black and white maps do not really work, okay? You're going to get a mess. It's not really going to be a normal map, okay? So for normal maps, we actually have to use um, a normal map image, okay? Now, what if you don't have something over here in the hard surfaces, which is where they keep the preset normal maps, okay? What if there's not something over here that you want to use? Well, we can make our own. So how do we do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. So I'm going to make a custom normal map for the top of this in Photoshop. I'm actually going to get rid of that layer. But to do anything in Photoshop or Illustrator, I have to have the UVs for this, right? So I'm going to go to Maya, select my can, go to UV editor, and I've got my unwrapped little can here. Select my shells, go to image, UV snapshot, and then I'm going to dump this out to my desktop, 4096, pick a wireframe color and hit apply and close, and I've already got it there, so I'm not going to overwrite it. And then I can go to Photoshop and I can file, open the, I can open up these UVs. Whoops, that is the wrong one. Hold on. I may have exported it to the wrong area. So let's, yes, I did. So there we go. Apply and close. Now it's on my desktop. So make sure that when you export things that they're going to the right place. So there we go. All right, so now I have this, right? Okay, so let's say I want to normal map maybe my name up here on the top of the lid. So I'm just gonna go in here and put Joe. How about jm3dpro.com? There we go. So, and I'll just bring that down. So I can line that up. Maybe I want a second one for the bottom of the can. So I'm going to do that. And we got to have some kind of a emboss kind of going on to begin with, because otherwise the normal map doesn't know if I want it up, down, or anything else. So I'm just going to kind of emboss it, give it a little bit of, there we go. And then I'm just going to hold down Alt and copy that effect over to my other one. And then maybe I want to add some lines going here. So I'm just going to add another layer. Let's see. So I'm going to reduce the opacity of this real quick, just so I can see what I'm doing. And well, let's not do that. I'm going to make this a little more precise here. And then just going to add a couple lines there. Turn this back up. And then let's see. I think I want to make these black actually. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold Control Shift Alt and E to make that all one layer there. And I'm going to go Filter, 3D, Generate Normal Map. Okay. It's being strange. There we go. Well, Photoshop, come on. Okay. Well, folks, this is an example of when Photoshop does not like me. So let's try this one more time. Let's see why the normal map filter is not working. There we go. Okay, so it worked on that one. So we're going to try that one more time. So it's not going to be as crazy as it was last time. I am just going to now this is how we make a normal map that needs to line up with a specific part of the UVs. The process will be the same for if you just want to do a general normal map that'll fit on pretty much anything. So all right. So I'm going to go to the top. I'm going to go Control Shift Alt and well, I need to turn that off. Go to the top, Control Shift Alt E. And go filter 3D generate normal map. Hey, and it worked that time. All right. So you can see it's getting a little blown out there. So we kind of want to tighten up the text a little bit. There we go. So adjust these sliders a little bit. That should work. And I want them to be indented in. So I'm going to hit OK. And now I have a normal map. So now I can delete these other parts. And then I can file, save as, oil can, extra normal, and save it as a PSD. So sorry that took a second. All right, so now we'll just import it. So add resource right here, add it, desktop, and there it is. I'm going to import that as a texture to the project. So now I have it right here. So if I add a fill layer, because it's going to line up in a specific place, so I'm just going to drag this over to the normal channel, and now we've got those extra little lines, and this is in the top. Now it looks like it's actually reversed from what I wanted. So what I'm going to do is go back to Photoshop, and I'm going to undo that normal map, go 3D, generate, and then this time I'm going to invert it. Yeah, so it looks like it's popping up, and yep, that should be fine. And then we'll just save it. And then if I go back to Substance and I reload that and then throw it in there, yeah, there we go. Now it's reversed. So I can actually turn all of those off, and now I just have that normal mapped information in there. All right, so for this oil can label, same basic idea. So if I go here and let's say go to layers, do this, edit, fill, color. I can do that, and then so okay, so let's say that that's your label, okay? So we're just going to save it as oil can cat label. Save it. There you go. And then same process, import it. Import it as a texture, oil can import, there you go. And then now I do want color information, so I'm just going to drag this into the base color. And there we go. Okay. So, but what if I want this to be a different material? So I'm actually going to make another fill layer. And I'm going to drag this into the base color. I'm going to make it super shiny, like it's been painted, and maybe slightly metallic. And then we don't need any normal information or height. So just base color, roughness, and metallic. So even if I wanted to add maybe something to the roughness a little bit, let's add a dirt gradient. So there you can kind of see it's breaking up the roughness a little bit. I'm gonna crank the balance a little so it looks kind of greasy. All right. So now I want to limit where this is. So I'm gonna go add a black mask and go to this and then use polygons. Bring that right across there so that way it doesn't touch that or that. And we can take that out so we still get the split right there. And then I can add another paint layer. And change this to black. And we'll make it kind of shiny, I guess. And I actually don't want an alpha. I want it to be square. So I'm going to reduce my brush size. Put it right there on that seam. Click. Control Shift. Make a line. Click. Control Shift. There we go. And then it looks like I kind of went over a little bit. So I can do the same thing with the eraser. And wait for Substance to save because it loves to interrupt me while I'm working. So I can clean up that edge. Yeah, close enough. And see up here, I can click and Control Shift and get rid of that. So there's that. Now I want to make it dirty, so if I want to add some dirt effects, I can make a fill layer, and then I'm going to change the color to kind of a dirty brown. And make it pretty rough. And then I'm going to add a black mask. I'm going to add a generator on the mask and make that dirt. So that's pretty well all you have to do to add dirt. Now you can adjust the dirt level. Okay, so we could make it super dirty. You can adjust the contrast. We can increase the grunge, decrease the grunge. You can randomize the dirt. So maybe you wanted, kind of a bit darker dirt, and then duplicate the layer. And maybe this one is a little bit of a darker red or something. Then you can go into the dirt, randomize that one. So now you can have multiple layers of dirt going on. See, so and then you can always, I don't know, add in some crazy toxic slime. So we can add another fill layer, make it weird green, super shiny. And then we'll add a black mask. And then maybe down here under smart masks, over here, we've got a whole mess of choices down here. So let's see. Dirt spots. Well, how about ground dirt? So there's something right there. Then you can go in and change the color. But that's how you can add some effects in there. And yeah, so there's a whole bunch of stuff. You can you can import custom alphas for your brushes, just like we did the normals. You can make those in Photoshop. So, like if I wanted to use this as a alpha map, so I can save this. And if I import that in, so here's my alpha, import that, and now on my paint layer, I can grab this, drop that on my alpha, there we go. Alright, so I can drop this on the alpha for the brush. So now I have a brush that I can paint with. Okay. Dink. Same options as before. That's just a custom alpha. So that is a custom alpha and normals. We added grunge. Okay, so let's export these puppies and set it up in Maya in the last part. So see you there, part 5.